done he? Good evening and welcome to Monday night's Endless Celts Podcast. I totally went blank there. We're on the night with Anthony, usual Monday night member, and Ross is just chopping in. The day he's been on Fridays, coming back on Monday. How you doing, Anthony?
Actually, all good. Can't complain with a wee Monday night moan, although not much to moan about this week, I don't think.
Oh, don't worry. We'll get that straight off the bat. We'll have a wee Monday night moan. We can't know, Anthony. It's what we get like to do sometimes on Mondays, have a wee moan. And yourself, Ross? Yourself, Ross, how's you?
I am good, mate. Back on the night after, what was it, a 2-hour stint on Friday, so I'm sure people will be bored listening to me, but I'm just filling in and helping out for guys who can't make it or whatever, so I didn't even know if I was scheduled on. I'm not sure.
I think you were.
Not 100% sure. I think you were. But no, thanks for
I'm
coming
not standing
on anyway.
in, I'm here anyway.
Aye, you're here anyway. And welcome along to everybody in the comments, just the usual suspects in that Red Scotland Celtic 67 and stuff. But we'll kind of start, before we go into the game, Anthony, as I say, we like a wee Monday morning time to times. So I thought we tried it a couple of times and it was simply called the Monday Moan. So it's just something you want to go off your chest, whether that be a pet peeve, just a wee, it could be football related, just anything that annoys you in the world if you want.
Where do we start? See, this is the thing. See, if you asked me this last week, I would have had plenty to moan about. And I did
last week. It doesn't need to be something today. Just in general, just
but
anything that annoys you, a pet peeve, anything.
Maybe, and I didn't like when that podcast goes this way, but I'm going to do it. Maybe VAR and the lack of consistency really gets my tits this weekend. I mean, that game yesterday, we all know what one we're talking about, was always going to go in their favour, but when it's so blatantly obvious, it's like, really? Consistency. You're going to get a penalty the week before for something really soft, then no gear, a two-hand push on the back of the Hearts player. There's no consistency in it at all. Which brings me actually back to a Celtic point. There's something it's bugged me for decades, and I didn't care if anybody can remember. I can't even remember what game it was, but there's a game, going back 20 odd years ago now, where Tom Boyd gets fouled. I think he's around the halfway line, slightly to the left side, and he gets fouled. But as he's going down, Tom Boyd's natural reaction is to grab the ball, to place it down, to take the quick free kick. And the ref hadn't actually blown the whistle yet. So the ref saw him pick up the ball and put it down and went, oh, well, that's a handball, so it's a free kick the other way. Even though the foul was a legit foul. But just because of the timing. And it actually happened, was it 2 weeks ago? With Arnie Engels, I think it was maybe in the Villa game. And Engels did the same thing. He got fouled and he just put his hand on the ball to stop it moving, to place it, because he knew the free kick was getting blown for. But the ref, just for whatever reason, took that extra second longer to blow, that by the time he actually blew it, the handball actually superseded the foul. And I was like, come on, the fuck, guys.
Aye. Ross,
yes.
And it annoys you. As I say, it doesn't need to be current, it could just be anything.
Well, there's one thing that really, really gets on my nerves.
Didn't see
that
me.
is no, not at all. By the way, that'll be most folk. In fact, I would almost say just about everybody that's watching probably won't be able to relate to this, but it seems to be in the last maybe year or two that certain paints react to other paints that have been on the wall, and you paint the wall and you think you're getting on fine, and then the next minute you turn around and the wall's covered in wee blisters, and there's no easy fix. There's nothing you can do apart from scrape it, seal it, sand it, and paint it again. And then guess what? See the bits you've fixed? They're fine. But the moisture makes it blister at another bit. And nobody, I've been on forums, and nobody can get to the bottom of it. And it does my tits in.
Well, there you
Based
go.
off that, I've got a question for you, Ross. We moved into this flat about a year and a half ago, and we started to paint one of the walls, and we realised that the paint that they used beforehand must have been some sort of, I don't know, water-based or anti-wet wall. I don't know what the paint is. I can wipe it, and it actually sees the paint smudge off, so it can't be that good.
Not durable,
but we went to try and paint over the top of it, and all we could find was that the paint would just glide over. It wouldn't take to the wall at all. It's just big streaky lines that it just wouldn't take. And I don't know if it's the wall itself or the paint that we're using or what, but it's a pain in my ass.
Aye, that would be. It's not something I've came across, to be honest with you. I'm not sure what that would be. It might be that they've maybe wiped the walls down with some sort of, I don't know, bleach or polish or something.
Possibly could be that.
Paint's just not taking to that. But we can talk about that off air, Anthony.
Thanks.
You never know, there could be folk in the comments with similar painting and decorating issues, but any questions along the lines, and you have got them, Russell, I'm sure Ross along this podcast is willing to answer them in between Celtic chat.
Oh, if you're painting
just on this comment from Celtic 88, if that was to be the case, hypothetically, how would one go about overcoming that? Like, do you have to take the satin paint off, or
no? Well, if it's an oil-based satin that's on whatever surface you're painting on, and you're going to put emulsion on it, for talking sake, if it was a wall, it's very rare that you would put oil-based satin on a wall. But if it's been done, give it a good rub down with some sandpaper just to scratch the surface,
kind of roughing it up.
Give it a key, basically to give it a key, and then you can put your emulsion on then. But I mean, it's very rare that it would be on a wall. You usually find it in woodwork, in which case you would put an acrylic water-based primer on, and then your top coat. Data rails. This is took a turn.
I love the fact that folk are just getting involved in it. Pet peeve of mine is, see folk that, it just seems to be, I've seen a lot of pictures in there, and it's folk that are lasses that are pregnant and feel they have to hold their belly. I just don't get it. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing it? Like, oh, I'm pregnant. I even fucking know you've said that in the comment. Then you hold your fucking belly. Honestly, that's my thing.
I'm pretty sure the belly does the holding.
Hey, gives it away. What you hold, like, holding it, just anyway.
The body's designed to hold that there.
Aye.
Well, we're there. Gender reveal things, that's just a shambles and all.
Horrendous.
The only way I can get behind it, and I mean, not get behind it anyway, but I can't understand gender reveals party when the parents already know what the gender is.
Aye, how does that?
Nobody else cares that much. Just tell me it's a boy or girl. Nobody cares.
Aye.
See if you manage to get. See if you've got a friend doctor who can do the scan for you and not tell you, and the friend doctor can then make a review for you. Fair enough, but again, that's never a private thing. But at the same time, like, no, who you kidding on?
Aye,
exactly.
Nobody
exactly. Nah, nobody. It's just that whole American carry on that's worked its way here in it. But anyway, that was the Monday moan. Just my face. I mean, could be an option, I suppose. Anthony, don't know where you're at with that. I don't think it's bothered you that much that you've got to just sack it in the face.
We've done the whole, and then we just sacked it.
Aye. Sounds a better idea. What's this about it? I thought gender reveals meant a Wayne changing from a guy to female. Well, let's not get into that in Scotland.
That's transitions.
Aye, that's
a whole other subject for.
Aye, that's a whole other subject for another night.
A non-sporting podcast.
Which for the first 10 minutes this has been.
Yeah.
Aye, exactly. So what? Anyway, we'll go on to the football, and as we usually do, like a brief sort of overview of the game in that, Ross. But I'll kind of come to say Rodgers obviously rung the changes a bit. Obviously, unsurprising, I think, to all us that he was going to do that. Still, we said the depth is pretty decent, so it's it was still good quality. I think I can't remember exactly your team on Friday, but you were either out by one, and that was Hatate Engels. You were out by, I think you called every other one, but
I had
were you
Scales in the
surprised?
team as well, I think, but
Were you surprised with the changes? I think maybe with the wing backs, maybe the right and left back swapping, maybe that's why he kept a strong sort of a centre half partnership.
I wasn't surprised by it. I mean, obviously, because I'd more or less kind of almost got the team right. But I think obviously with the Bayern Munich game ahead, I think it was a sensible thing to do. As I said I would have played Scales, but I do understand. I was just worried in case Carter Vickers got injured, but you understand to keep that partnership just going. But I know none of the changes that were made were a surprise to me. No, it was sensible changes, and you were always confident, even with the changes, that at home against Dundee United, you were and should have enough on the pitch to get 3 points.
No, totally. And obviously, Anthony, yourself, you weren't on Friday, but so I don't know how strong a team you would have maybe put out if you would have made as many changes. But were you surprised at the amount of changes?
No, I don't think there's many surprises there. As you said, Franny, with the depth that you've got, you should be able to make a few changes in preparation for the Bayern Munich game. It's more for me trying to figure out what the changes mean, because you can look at the Ralston one, and that's clearly just to give Johnston a rest. We know Johnston's going to start. You look at the Sloop one over Taylor, and you actually start thinking, is that because you've got in mind that Sloop is going to start instead of Taylor? Because again, he's brought in with the experience that he's got, his age, and the money he's on. You kind of think that he is going to be playing that game. Again, otherwise, why bring him in? Because you could always look to the youth for backup to Taylor, because Taylor's more than adequate to play the rest of the season. And then you look at Yang. That's obviously like the Ralston one. That's to give Kuhn a rest. So then you look at Idah, which is a big topic. Everybody's going to be asking about how you play the front three. Is Idah going to start, or is Maida going to go through the middle? And you don't know. You literally, I don't think anyone can tell us. We can all have our preferences, but I don't think anybody could guess what one Idah's. I mean, for the game against United, what one was it a resting or was it a preparation for the Bayern game? So I don't think everybody can figure that one out. So I think they're the three main changes that were made, and the depth there is pretty solid. I mean, the only one who would arguably weaken us would be Ralston, but he's been here for many years. He's actually experienced enough for this level. So nice changes that you can afford to make, and not too many that kind of worried anybody. I don't think anybody feared, oh Christ, we need to make sure we don't get exposed by the changes.
And that's it, Ross. We did make a few changes, and sometimes, especially off the back of a big European night, and with obviously the return leg in mind, you can sometimes get a wee bit of a type of game where it's things don't flow. You don't you maybe know all in, if you like, because you're feared that some players are not want to get injured or anything like that. But it's just obviously kind of go over the game, then we'll kind of discuss the goals and stuff. But it was nice to see that we never took our foot off the gas. Essentially, we put in a very professional performance, and it was a lot of good football in that game on Saturday.
Aye, it was. I think that it's really testament to Rodgers and like the squad as a whole that he can make as many changes as what he did, and it doesn't take away from the sort of free flowingness of the football. Everybody comes in, knows their job, knows the way the team or the way Rodgers wants the team to play, and they got I can't remember exactly when McGregor scored, but they got a fairly early-ish goal, which obviously settles you then. And then for there, you sort of grow into the game, and Dundee United at that point going 1-0 down, then their sort of game plan, if you like, maybe goes out the window to an extent. And then your good players like Jota, guys like that can get on the ball. Even I thought Jeffrey Sloop had a really good game. and he was really unlucky. He hit the post in the first half with a really good effort. He's got that in his locker because he can play across the front free if needed. I'm sure I watched a clip just when he signed. He scored an absolute reeker at Fulham for Crystal Palace. So he has got that in his locker. But down that side, I thought that him and Jota linked up really well. And then on the other side, Yang, listen, he wasn't amazing, but you could say he got an assist. McGregor still had a lot to do, but he played it into him. So listen, it was all in all, it was a good day and a straightforward day. I think most days on Friday night, who was on had expected. I think you had said 3-1. I'd said 2-0. So we were there or thereabouts. It was a comfortable afternoon, and it was the type of game that you really want getting into this Bayern Munich game, and that it was comfortable. I don't think we really got out of second gear as well as we played, and then obviously it's 2-0 at half time. Getting into the second half, it's more relaxed, and we made a few chances. Probably could have been more, but obviously we'll go into it. But Idah gets that goal towards the end. I think I'm trying to remember. I think he came off just after that goal, but I think it was like maybe 84 or 86 minutes, which for somebody that you would maybe possibly could be starting tomorrow night. I think that was a lot of minutes under his belt. So does that tell you that he won't start? I don't know, but I mean, time will tell on that, and we'll find out tomorrow. But all in all, a good day at the office for Celtic on Saturday, and a comfortable victory.
That's something. It was a good day at the office, as Ross has said there, and with the changes, it obviously was nice to see us playing the nice football without really probably being going at 100% at fifth gear, if you like. So it's good. Obviously, the guys that came in, like you said, guys that are probably, certainly giving guys a rest, but guys like Yang, Sloop, whether he starts or not, it's guys that you, even maybe McCown to a less extent, you might need to call on them on Tuesday, just if you're still in the game, or for McCown's sake, maybe seeing out the game, and even Sloop, I suppose, in that sense. But getting these guys minutes in their legs, keeping them ticking over and keeping them fresh, and obviously getting a decent enough game. Obviously, Yang, like Ross said, I don't think he was blunt, but I think his last couple of sort of outings, he's maybe deserved that start, to be fair to him. And it was obviously an easy game to do in the middle of the Bayern Munich game, but I suppose the main takeaway is it was a comfortable afternoon without really totally exerting Hunter's energy.
The kind of game you want, isn't it, though? At home, 3-0, nothing really troubled us at the back too much. We were only stressed. We didn't have to go chasing. I don't think we exerted ourselves too much. In that way to cause any kind of lethargic or injuries, especially when we're going from Wednesday to Tuesday for the Champions League games. It's quite a short week for us. I think you'll see everybody who started that game, I think you'll see them on the pitch at some point. Possibly not Ralston, but like if Maida starts instead of Idah through the middle, then the other one's going to come on. Yang's going to come on at some point for Kuhn. Sloop's going to come on at some point for Taylor, or Taylor's going to come on for Sloop at some point. They're all going to feature at some point. It's just whether or not the minutes, as Ross says, is he's getting 84, 85 minutes out of Adam Idah. Is that telling you that he's possibly played too many minutes, that he's given the time elsewhere, or is that enough time to say you're actually getting as much time as possible because I need you with all the minutes under your belt before you go into Tuesday? I don't know. But the goals themselves, it's 3 good goals, and there's a couple of extras that they could have been as well. I mean, as we said, Sloop had his chance. McGregor, shortly after his goal, tried to do the carbon copy of it again, that kind of tricky run into the box, and got his shot off as well. So we could have been 4 or 5 goals at some points. So it's not like we want to try, as you said, without being in top gear 100%. We could have still went and scored a few more. Which probably, I've heard this narrative over the weekend about how this kind of sums up Scottish football that Dundee United are third place, and everybody's talking about Celtic basically treating that as a warm-up game for the Bayern Munich. So I think it was a training exercise to a degree, which is quite damning on Scottish football. But again, we can only play who we're up against at the time.
Awesome. I totally agree, and I'll kind of come straight back at you, Anthony, and we'll move on to go. Obviously, Yang will get credited with the assist, even though McGregor had about 10 touches after that. But it's just the way stats work. I suppose you're being a stats guy. It is just the way they work. He will go down with an assist, and I think it was like, know yourself, try to be smart, because I think it came out when Jota came in after sort of a game and a half. Somebody came up with a stat that saying that he had achieved, like stat-wise, the same stats as Yang had in a year. And I think since you put that in the group chat, Yang's had about 4 assists and 2 goals. Maybe. It's a good thing.
If I have to say that every 4 weeks, I'll say it every 4 weeks, so it means we get this out of Yang.
No, it's a good thing that obviously he's proven us wrong and things like that. It's nothing wrong with that, I guess. But obviously McGregor, I wouldn't say McGregor kind of does this from time to time. Like, I know we're saying we're kind of comfortable in the game, but sometimes he just has wee moments in games where he's like, right, I'm on a wee run, mate, and it just kind of jinked in and out the defenders and just sort of closed his foot in that and put it near post, and maybe that just catches the keeper out and it's a tidy finish at the bottom corner.
Yeah, he's keep focus on Yang a wee bit here. It's an easy, simple pass, but it's the smart pass. He could have turned to his right and tried to take it down the wing. As a winger, you would expect him to do, but he actually did the sensible, simple, easy pass without like downplaying what he did. It was a nice, simple pass that went to McGregor that gave him the license to have that run through. So all credit to Yang for no overcomplicating and not being defaulting to wing play. He actually knew he was reading the game well enough to keep it simple. That's a compliment somewhere in there. But yeah, it's an interesting one with Yang again, keeping it on him. It wasn't a stat that I've read into too deeply, but by the time Jota had played his 2 games, and neither of the 2 games were full games, so it was like something like 90 minutes over 2 games, Jota already scored and assisted more than Yang had all season. All was on a par with him, and as you see, Yang's now popped up with 4 assists, 2 goals or something in the last 3 or 4 games, and fair play to Yang. If he keeps it up, they're absolutely cracking. He's maybe needed a game like Saturday, where, again, not an easy game, but a game where he can keep building his confidence. And I'll get onto that with Idah when we get to his goal as well. But for the goal itself, it's typical Callum McGregor. I think he's probably disappointed he didn't take that shot from outside the box just to keep that tally going. But it's one of those ones where the space opens up for him. I say space opens up, he didn't really open up for him, but he finds himself in that position where the next thing to do is take the shot, and he's got that in his locker. It wasn't a worldy top corner sort of thing. He kicked it low, but he knew what he was doing. It's the experience of a guy who's played that position when he was younger. Obviously plays a wee bit deeper now. But good goal.
I know it was a good goal, Ross, and like we say, McGregor obviously taking it in and jinks in between about 3 or 4 players. I say has 5, 6, 7 touches before he slots it in the bottom corner, and it is funny. I think it is his first goal for inside the box this season, and I think he's obviously taking his game on a wee bit again. Maybe obviously the number O'Reilly being away, he's maybe thought, right, I need to maybe add goals to my game or whatever. But I suppose it's good to see that your captain's kind of stepping up in that sense.
Aye, I think I was on a couple of weeks ago, and I think I made the point that I felt like Rodgers has obviously gave McGregor more license. Certainly, Ross, stop scratching your beard. He's getting emotional. It was I think I made the point that I feel like Rodgers has maybe told Callum McGregor this season he's he's got more rain to get forward, certainly in the domestic games. I think obviously his goals tally speaks to that. That goal on Saturday, I thought it was a brilliant goal, to be honest with you. Obviously, as we've said, Yang plays inside him. But then the way he runs with the ball, Cal McGregor's got that in his locker. For a central midfielder, it's no... You don't often see them being able to sort of dribble the ball that way, but Cal McGregor can do that, and he really worked the space. And then it's a typical Cal McGregor finish. It's measured, it's placed, it's picked out. It's not like just get it on target. He meant to put it where he put it. And then even, I think it was maybe 5 or 10 minutes after that, he done a similar thing where he worked the space again, beat about 2 men, and he tried to curl it into the far post. Didn't quite get it right on that occasion. But I think he's definitely obviously got it in his locker. He showed that in the early part of his career, certainly under Rodgers the first time. But then obviously since sort of Ange came in, he was playing that deeper role. And then Brendan's first season, he played a similar role to what he did under Ange. But as I've said, this season, you've seen him, certainly domestically, he's getting up and supporting the attack. And I think that's obviously off the back of O'Reilly leaving. And I think that Engels, I think he's quite happy just to maybe drop back and maybe not Cal McGregor, maybe Matt O'Reilly wasn't as partial to doing that, or he wasn't asked to do that under Rodgers the first time around, because Matt O'Reilly was the one that was getting the goals from midfield, but Cal McGregor is now doing that. I was really impressed by him on Saturday.
No, he was good. And another guy that I thought was good, Ross, on Saturday was the man Jota that's came back with a big fanfare. It's still mad to think that we've sold this guy for 25 million 18 months ago and we've got him back for 8 million. Seems mad, but it seems like he's came back with a fanfare and he's embracing it. We were all told, even by Jota himself, we were told he was going to take time to get up to speed. He looks, if this is him getting up to speed, God knows what he's got to be like when he's up to speed. I don't know if that's me just getting absolutely carried away with the fact that the guy's back or whatever, but I thought him and Sloop played well together on Saturday. Then I think he had one just before his goal, similar, where he kind of tried that and came in, but he kind of dinked a crossover, and this time just Sloop's run, taking the defender away, and he just curls one into the bottom corner. And another really good goal.
That was a fantastic goal. But again, I would say, I think before Jota came back, there was obviously comparisons made on who was better, Jota or Kuhn. And I think I was asked it and I was like, I mean, the way Kuhn was playing at the early part of the season, he was exceptional. But I think probably Kuhn's a bit more direct than what Jota is. But I would say that probably now that he's back in a Celtic jersey again, I think it's fair to say that Jota is probably the most skillful player that we've got. And he just, every time he gets the ball, he wants to make things happen. Whether, well, it's great because he can go on the outside and he can find that cross and he can stand it up, or he can like whip it in or play it low. He's got all the sort of different types of cross in his locker. He can execute them all, and then obviously, as you've seen with the goal, he can chop inside as well, and he can find that far corner. And Kuhn can do that as well. Of course, he can. I think it's slightly different with Kuhn, and that he's quite happy for Alistair Johnson to overlap him, and they link up brilliant doing that. But I don't think that, like, say, especially if it's Sloop, you didn't see Sloop overlapping Jota that much. I think Jota likes to go on the outside. Sloop was more supporting him if he was having to kind of come back and play it inside a bit to Sloop. It's a slightly different dynamic, and it's a different dynamic again for what obviously Greg Taylor offers, because as much as I'm saying Sloop was inside Jota, Greg Taylor's even further inside. He plays, as we all know, more like a central midfielder. But the goal itself, as I've said, the way he picks it up, just runs directly at the defender, chops inside, and one thing on his mind, is to find that far corner, and he found it with absolute ease. To be honest with you, it was a tremendous finish.
It really was, and like Ross said there, Anthony, I think it is, Taylor does play that inverted role really well, but maybe Sloop, somebody like Jota can benefit from a Sloop that was clearly playing inverted on Saturday, but maybe, like Ross said, not as inverted, and it was the other defender or midfielder was maybe getting distracted, thinking, should I pick up Sloop, should I not? And Jota's obviously taking advantage of that, and that on the goal, it was one of the times he did take advantage of it, and everything just opened up for Jota, and he curled a nice shot in across the keeper.
Yeah, it was a fantastic goal in that sense. To take it away from Taylor, because I know, well, the high chances that he is leaving. Seemingly, was it Zagreb who's seemingly...
that doesn't seem to go away, that rumour.
Yeah, I don't want to say he signed a pre-contract, but it seems to be far down the line that looks like the deal, which, to be fair to Greg Taylor, that's an interesting move. I mean, nobody's going to argue about, going and staying in Croatia for 2 or 3 years, winning a few medals there, because Zagreb are the equivalent of us over there. They're going to win the domestic scene 99 times out of 100. So fair play to Taylor if that is his move. He's playing at a decent level there. He'll still play European football and he'll still win medals. So you can't really argue. But I think to look forward and to keep talking about kind of the way that the Jota would likely benefit, I can't help but feel and wonder how good it's going to be when KT comes in. Because KT, as Ross says, with Alistair Johnson, Kuhn knows that Johnson's going to do the overlap, and Kuhn can get the benefit to then be able to come inside and get his shot off because he knows the overlap's there, or he can pass it out if he needs to and whatnot. I think the same's about to happen on the left side with Jota and KT, because KT's not going to invert as much as Taylor does. And I think Brendan Rodgers would rather that he doesn't have that inversion. So with KT doing what KT does and Jota being the guy in front of him, I think that's something that we can be really excited about.
It's next season's exciting with guys like Tierney coming back and stuff, and see what else maybe Rodgers can get out the transfer market and stuff. But we'll move on to for me anyway, the pick of the goals and one of your favourite players in Idah, Anthony. That's just tongue in cheek. I know it's more about the value than anything. But obviously Taylor actually has a decent chance he picks. It's kind of scrappy at the edge of the box and stuff, and Taylor kind of picks it up and has a nice wee shot, and the keeper saves it low down. They clear it. Anthony Nelson does really well, and it actually makes the defender look really stupid because he's standing like this with his hands out, and the defender just falls down. And fair play. I mean, we'll go on to Nick Walsh, who had a horrendous game. That was one moment he had that he actually done the right thing, and Ralston plays the cross over it. I think the Dundee United boy clears it towards the back post or to the corner of the box, I feel like, where Adam is standing. I'm not too sure it's the best first touch, but Jesus, that second touch was absolutely brilliant. And it wasn't absolutely just like, it's deliberate as hell, that strike.
That's the best thing about it, is an Adam Idah 4 months ago probably doesn't even bother with that shot. But seeing Adam Idah over the last 3-4 weeks, especially, where his confidence is grown, he's getting the run of minutes and the run of games that he's getting his goals in as well. I'm still waiting for the dominant performance like the one we saw against Kilmarnock last season. I want to see him really dominate a game of football and really impress upon it. But even the game against United and that goal, that's confidence in the player. So you to take that ball down, and you see it wasn't the best of first touches, it actually wasn't that bad. But to have the confidence to take that shot on and get it on target, if nothing else, but he actually scored a goal out of it, that's a player fully on confidence. And that's the kind of the Adam Idah that we need to be seen, especially with the whole situation with Kai leaving and no striker was brought in. And I know some quarters were happy enough that Adam Idah would get his opportunity to step up and Maida could come in and Kenny's there as backup, which is all fine. But at the level that we want to be playing at, you really needed a proper striker who's able to step up and go at the next level. I'm not saying Adam Idah's quite Champions League level per se, and I know people tell me the Aston Villa goals, of course, but he's definitely playing now in the last few games like a player who's high in confidence, a player who's got the world at his feet, and he's got all the potential in the world. What is he, 24 now? He's not young, but he's still got a few years of development in him. So if he keeps this up, it's going to be fantastic to see him again next season because, well, we're a quarter left of the season just now. So if we look for the rest of the season that he keeps this up and then starts next season, the way this season's never ending, he's going to be some player next year. He really is.
As he has got the attributes, obviously, like you say, he's got a bit of development in him as well, Ross. By that goal, for me, for me, it's a contender goal of the season, just how he whips it in at pace, almost top bins. And we've said it on here and on the group chat, he has really stepped up, whether that is just a confidence thing or just for maybe as a guy that likes a wee bit of pressure saying, I know I need to be the main man now and I'm got to shows a bit of confidence in his own ability, but he has stepped up, and that goal on Saturday was obviously most players will be annoyed going off, but I don't think he'd be too disappointed when that was his last touch on Saturday.
No, definitely no. I think what I liked about Adam Idah on Saturday is obviously before that goal he'd missed not like guilty as chances of that, but he did have a few chances in the game. Keeper had a really good save. One went by the post, and I just feel like he's showing a bit of emotion on the pitch now. And I think that goal, for me, what I liked about it, obviously, the fact that it was a brilliant finish, but it was struck with venom, but like a bit of like rage behind it. Like, I've missed a few chances, but you know what? I'm fucking scoring today, and I'm fucking washing this with everything I've got. And it wasn't, you're right, it wasn't the greatest touch. Initially, when I first seen it, I thought Ralston had actually fouled that the Dundee United player, but he actually tries to buy the foul, and you're right, it's one of the few decisions that Nick Walsh got right on the day, but the finish was, there's no goalie saving that. I think you'd said on Friday's podcast something about you could have garage doors for hands and you wouldn't stop that. It was a tremendous finish. And I thought Adam Idah was, in that first half especially, I thought people spoke about, and obviously I think Rodgers at one point was angry with him last midweek because as if he wasn't working hard enough in the press, but he was all over the place for me on Saturday. I think he really took heed of the message, whatever that was, and he really was mobile, and he was pressing, and he was just busy all game, and he got his rewards at the end, and what a goal. It'll take a lot of beating, that strike. I mean, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I don't remember. Certainly just for just as a strike, I don't remember many being hit with such venom and accuracy. It was tremendous.
Fair enough, maybe Adam did St. Mirren, and Lynn's just knocked my camera out. She was picking something off the table there.
I thought you'd fell there.
Oh, no, she just knocked the camera right off.
Who did?
No,
Dwayne?
Oh, Lynn, she picked just off the table. I've just put off the table. It was just caught obviously in the cable. But as I was saying before I fell and tumbled all the way down the stairs there. I think when you're talking about a strike with so much venom, did Adam Idah know he won that game? I think it was St. Mirren where he absolutely rattled that as well. And the top bags, I think it was either St. Mirren or Ross County at Parkhead.
No, so I wouldn't argue against that, but I kind of mind it.
I have been stomped by a stingray eye. Somebody just came in and just robbed me. I obviously that was Anthony kind of late on. We scored in the game, it kind of fizzled out. We only had one more half chance with Johnny Kenny. I think it was Maeda that crossed it over for him. And he just slid in, but just couldn't stretch just quite far enough. And we finished off with a 3-0 victory. We go on to the midweek. But just a wee thing, I was listening back to some I can't take credit for this next subject, but I found it interesting, thought it'd be interesting to talk about it. It was actually listening to the Bhoys Boss's post-match thing, and I was listening on the way to work the day, and he asked a question about this current front four. Is it better with or without Kugel? So obviously, it's like, is this front four in Maeda, Jota, Idah, and Kun a better option than what would be Kyogo, Kun, Idah, and Maeda? I had to think about that there because I was going to put Jota in it twice.
Aye, so you basically swapped out Kyogo.
Jota for Kyogo, aye.
We're bringing Yang into the equation.
No, because that would make it 5, mate. That's what I said 4.
So,
because Yang was there before. It's essentially swapping Kyogo for Jota.
Aye.
It's a hard one to answer because I know if I say a certain thing, some people will jump to my throat that I'm not giving some people enough credit. Or if I don't say a certain thing, then it's hard to compare Jota and Kyogo because they are different players, different positions. If you ask me who's better, Kyogo or Idah, 100% it's Kyogo. No doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
But we're keeping Idah in that mix of the four. So are we weaker without Kyogo as a striker? Yes. Are we stronger with Jota as a winger over Maeda? Yes. So it kind of evens itself out. Like, you've lost a good and you've gained a good, but then you've got the benefit of Maeda can move up front as well. So it's an awkward one when you ask me about how good the front four is when we actually only play 3 and I'm potentially moving Maeda to the middle to accommodate Jota on the left, because Jota, Maeda and Kun is frightening. But then Maeda, Kyogo and Kun is also frightening. And when they were on it, they were on it, but not always at the same time. And Yang is the wild card. No, I think I would have rathered Kyogo and Maeda. Maeda, Kyogo, Kun. I think I would have rathered that than a Jota, Idah, Kun. Because it's hard to answer this before we know
the evidence of the previous one, I guess.
Because Jota, Maeda and Kun sounds sensational, but equally so does Jota, Kyogo and Kun. But how often are we going to see Jota, Maeda and Kun? Is it going to be more often Idah? Because if we're going to see Jota, Maeda and Kun as a front 3, then I could argue that is, with Idah as the back, I could argue that is better, but I still think I'd rather the other 3. But then I don't want to say I don't want Jota because Jota's fantastic. So I don't want to say I don't want Jota. It's a hard one.
Aye, no, I know that's kind of why I put it in, kind of deliberate. But same question to you, Ross, and just when Anthony was kind of talking about it there, I actually forgot how good Maeda, Kyogo and Jota was for pretty much a full season when Jota played on the right. That was quite a frightening front 3. But where are you on the current versus the old, I feel like, front 4?
It's a difficult one. I think that if you make your night start, that's in the offing probably. No, it's a difficult one, but I think that if you just look solely at the central striker, then you would have to say we're weaker. But if you look at it as a front 3 or a front 3 with an option off the bench, then I compare it and I go, right, okay, so earlier in the season, we had Kyogo, who could play, obviously played through the middle, and we were bringing Idah on. We were never using Maeda through the middle. So then when Maeda had to come off, you were bringing on Palmer or Yang, which is a real big drop-off. And then on the other side, obviously, you have to take into account that Forrest is injured as well. On the other side, you were maybe bringing Yang on for Kuhn, which again is a real big drop-off. Whereas now, I concede that Idah isn't as good a player as what Kyogo is, but it's not as big a drop-off as the two wide areas that I've just spoke about. And now, when you take off Maeda, or if you take off Idah, let's say, you can move Maeda into the middle for the left if he starts. There's no drop-off there for me. If you're moving Maeda into the middle to bring Idah off and you bring on Jota, there's no drop-off. It's a different type of player, but there's no drop-off. Jota can also play on the right, so if you're taking Kuhn off and you're leaving Maeda on and you're not taking Idah off and you're bringing Jota on for Kuhn, then again, for me, there's no drop-off. So when I look at it like that, as much as I loved Kyogo, I think that yes, Celtic probably should have and ideally would have replaced him. But bringing Jota in, I think that makes us slightly stronger as a front four. Just because of what I've said, there's not as much of a drop-off as what there was when you were bringing like Palma and that on. I think it's slightly stronger, albeit I concede that the central striker option isn't just as strong as it was, but over the four, I would say it's slightly stronger now.
I think I would slightly agree, just maybe the way Rodgers plays, but like you've kind of said about in the wide positions, because we've seen obviously Maeda can go through the middle and the guy's absolutely on fire, but I think, as silly as it sounds, I think the current front four is a probably stronger option as well. So I'll go with them, but we'll kind of just move on. I've seen a few folk mention it earlier on in the comments about Nick Walsh-Ross. I mean, I think it's better to bring up referees' performances off the back of a win because it doesn't look like you've been better or petty and things like that. But for me, some of his decision making on Saturday, like he was, and it was twice we had a really good advantage, where we maybe advanced about 20, 30 yards, and then he boldly fell and brought it back. I felt at times some of his positioning wasn't great and just totally slowed down the game. Just thought it was a really, really poor day at the office for the guy.
Aye, it was. And listen, like everybody, people have good days and bad days at their work. I don't think Nick Walsh is one of the worst referees that we've got. I think he's probably one of the better ones, albeit our referees over the piece aren't great. But aye, definitely there was, I can remember an incident where Cal McGregor was sort of getting onto their back line and he blew, and initially I was like raging because he should have played at the advantage, but then at the same time, it's just he's seen the foul and he's reacting to that, and he's probably going to blow for the foul, and he's blew for the foul before he realises that the play's developed the way it has. It's frustrating for Cal McGregor. It's frustrating for us as fans. But listen, it didn't stop us winning the game. My biggest gripe was there was an incident. I think it was the first half, and it was Engels. Now, if the guy pulled at him once, he must have pulled at him 100 times, and it was like as clear a foul as you'll get. But not only did he not stop it, he just didn't blow for it at all, and like it wasn't like he was playing advantage. He didn't even give a free kick. It was absolutely shambolic. He didn't have a good game at all. But listen, it didn't stop us winning the game. But you put it down to a bad day at the office. But it needs to be better than that at this level.
I think obviously you touched on it earlier, Anthony, about we were talking about consistency, and consistency does have to be as a level, and it has to be better. And I think Nick Walsh, as I say, not want to make too big a deal about it, because it isn't in the grand scheme of things a big deal. But it was just some of his decisions where you're like, I mean, obviously the rumours are that he's a big Rangers fan, and you will get folks saying it's because he's a Rangers fan. I don't believe it is that. I don't believe it does things because he's a Rangers fan, but it helps. I suppose it helps that narrative and things like that. But I thought it was a really poor refereeing performance on Saturday.
So I've pulled this one up from Caden, and I don't want to get too deep into it on a reaction podcast to the games. Quickly, yes, I am personally still anti-board, but I want to just bring that up in relation to what we're saying about the refs as well. As you said, Fanny, it's better to bring these things up at times when you are winning, because then it doesn't look like sour grapes. But see, just because sometimes you get some things right or some things don't really have a detrimental effect, doesn't mean that the issues aren't still there. And in fact, most of the time, Celtic win league titles, despite the fact the refs are so inconsistently shit. And it's the same with the board. Sometimes, I mean, the seasons have went by where transfer windows have been shambolic and we've still won the league. And that doesn't excuse us a shambolic transfer window. It's just thankful that we've had the players already in the building or a manager capable of going and kind of working against it at times, kind of fixing it for themselves. And that's the same with the refs, that they are shambolic, they are inconsistent, and Nick Walsh might get away with one or two things because at the end of the day, Celtic won 3-0, so it didn't really have an effect, but he's still shit. He's still absolutely shit at his job.
I'm glad you spent 5 minutes talking about the board and 2 seconds on answering if Nick Walsh had a good game or not. But I know. But like you said, it didn't have much an impact on the season. That's as we're now 3/4 away through the season. I'm not going to do like a review or anything like that. Just a really quick one here, Ross. Obviously, with 12 games left domestically, anyway, in the league, I should say. So obviously, we've still got cup games. With us having such an advantage, if the 13 points, fingers crossed, we've got a few more nights in Europe, but we'll discuss that just shortly. But let's say fingers crossed, there's at least another couple nights in Europe. But the Scottish Cup, albeit if we went all the way to the final, still to play for. Do you think can you see us rotating the squad still just moving throughout the season? Say worst case scenario, say we go out of Europe tomorrow night, but do you see us still rotating the squad essentially with the Scottish Cup in mind?
I do, because Brendan Rodgers is renowned for using the squad, and you've got to keep your sort of what you would maybe perceive as your fringe guys happy. He got away through the season, my fair shit. He's at it. I know. You've got to keep what you would perceive as your fringe guys happy. You've got to keep them minutes in their legs, because you don't know when you're going to need them, if you got a big injury or anything like that. But I think that it would be crazy not to use the squad when you've got guys like Luke McCown who can come into the team and produce what he's been producing. And then obviously, we've just spoke about it, that front four, even Yang coming into the equation, five options across 3 positions. You're going to use that. You've got 5 substitutions every game. And then you've got guys like Bernardo as well, who'll be coming back for injury. And James Forrest, I think it was Shell Tick 67 had mentioned earlier about Forrest is sort of back out in the grass now. He's still a number of weeks away. But that's another guy that's going to need to get minutes into his legs, under his belt. So I think it's an absolute given that Rodgers and Celtic will continue to use the squad. And if they want to achieve the treble, then it's something you have to do. Even if we do go out of Europe, I think it's absolutely something that you have to do between now and the end of the season, because there's a lot of guys in that team already played a lot of football, a lot of minutes this season. So managing it and using the squad for us to achieve what we want to achieve domestically is a given for me.
No, I tend to agree with that thought process, Anthony. Like, obviously trebles aren't to be sniffed at, and I certainly would not put this season down as a failure if we only walk away with a league and League Cup double. To say on any given day, especially in a cup game, as Queen's Park showed, you can just you get mad results. In fairness, that it was a mad result. So, do you see us probably utilising the squad, like continue to utilise the squad as the season progresses and stuff, with the cup games in mind and things like that? Because surely Brendan Rodgers and the players will not publicly say it, but probably in the dressing room will be talking about how realistic the treble is again.
100% the treble's on, and 100% the squad will be rotated. I don't imagine it'll be rotated to any major depths like the Falkirk game earlier in the season. But like I said, Dundee United there, three changes, was it, that were obvious? I think you'll see that. I think you might see Sinisawa get the cup games maybe. And I think you'll see. I think we might see. Yeah, there you go. I think we might see Yang still get this run of games when he can. So he's not going to start tomorrow night, but he'll probably come on and he'll get a good half hour at least at the weekend again, if not start the game at the weekend. And that's what this squad and the rest of the season is going to afford us to do. The guys like Yang, Kenny, Bernardo and McCown are going to get plenty of game time in the last kind of few months here. My wonderment is guys like Rocky or Dane Murray going to get game time, because that's a big change, I think, to go from trusting skill.
Chance in the Rocket, just
yeah.
I think Rodgers makes the Rocket, to be honest.
It's something, as much as I fully agree with Ross, we do look to utilise a squad fully at times, especially under Rodgers. Something that I feel that we don't do quite enough is go as far as to say, right, Dane Murray, here's the prime opportunity. You can get a run of 2-3 games here to see what you can do on the Rocky. Sometimes players are just a wee bit too far out the pecking order to get that sniff. But guys like Bernardo, McCown, Yang, even maybe Kenny, they're all going to get good game time just now, I think. Can I just see what you lot are on the sheet?
So Paul McFarlane said Endless Celts are rotating their squad, not doing them any harm. Stephen Needy dropped.
He did.
If you've not seen Friday's podcast, that means nothing to you.
No, I've not watched it back yet, but I've meant to see you in that
Go to
conversation.
the last 10 minutes of Friday's podcast. That's all you need to watch.
We'll do.
That's probably not a good advertisement for the Friday's podcast, but the last 10 minutes is what you need.
There's a point I wanted to bring up earlier on. It's just about Cal McGregor. Somebody mentioned that he's on for scoring like a dozen goals this season, and I think last year he only scored 2. I was flicking through the seasons there. I think this is his 4th best goal scorer season so far. I think everybody remembers when he went to Notts County, he got 14 that season. He's played more than an attacking midfield role, kind of secondary striker at times. And that was a great season for him, which brought him back up to the club and was kind of like the making of him to get his game time. But only, I think it was the 16-17 and the 19-20 season, has he managed to score more than he's got just now, which was like 12 and 13 goals. And he's currently sitting on 8. So I don't think he'll break it. I don't think this will be his best goal scoring season. You'd have to score another 5 or 6 for that. But I think he's going to get up there again. He's having a fantastic season, Callum McGregor, in that regards.
Yeah, he's in a great season, and I think he might challenge that sort of 12 goals, if you like, the 12-13. There's quite games left, providing he generally has a guy that stays injury-free, touch with anything. I don't know, just junks up there. But he is generally a guy that it just seems to play every week. But speaking of playing every week, we'll move on to the Bayern game. Anthony, obviously, we go over to Germany tomorrow night.
if we lost.
Sterling with what's that? What was that? Ross is totally froze there.
I think he has. He said something there, froze.
He did. I don't know if he was doing the old Macanalis and Munich and Bayern. I don't know if that's what he was going for. What I'm going to do is I'm going to remove him and take. Oh, there he's back. You're back. You're back.
Was
mate.
Was it everybody had went and buffered there? I thought it was
just
everybody was out.
You just totally froze there. I don't know if you were going for the Bayern, the Macanali and Bayern and Munich chat there. You just kind of wait to say something and totally froze.
I thought you'd froze. I was asking if we'd lost you.
But no, Anthony, as I say, we go in. We're still in the tie. We're still in the tie, if you like. But how are you holding out much hope for tomorrow? Is the heart got to rule the head, or is it the opposite?
So last week, see when we got the mention of that Idah was available, I think that lifted everybody from the fans to the players themselves. I believe the story today is that Harry Kane is out of the game for tomorrow. I don't think it's quite the lift that Idah would have been last week, but I think it maybe gives some optimism that maybe the attacking line isn't as prolific.
Can you tell you the second choice be Miller or something?
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be Thomas Mull's going to come in there, or what's his name, Olise on the wing side. I mean, they're still going to be dangerous, so I don't think we can rest on that. But if we play like we did last week and we get beat 2-0, 3-2, 3-1, I'll be gutted, but I'll be somewhat proud enough that we didn't get humiliated. So if we can take the game to them, that's all I can ask at this stage. But as you said, Randy, we're still in the tie, so you never know. You generally never know. If we get an early goal within 25 seconds that is legit and stands, game on.
As game on, and Celtic saying Harry Kane ruled out with a gum injury after binge eating Lego. I don't know about that, but we'll see. It certainly will be a boost, Ross, if he's out, but that's not to take anything away from the rest of the players in that team. As I say, it could be a Thomas Muller comes in, or Kingsley Coleman, and could maybe play up there. So it's you're not bringing on shite at the end of the day. As I say, we go over there with some hope. I suppose for me, it's maybe just try and stay in the game for as long as you can. Don't play your way out the game, and just keep it, and maybe just pick your moments whenever they may come. I don't know where you're at with it.
I would tend to agree with that. I think that we've stayed in the tie, if you like, in that first leg, and I think, listen, I know a lot of people will probably think, let's just have a go at Bayern Munich, you've nothing to lose, kind of thing. Go over there and try and get that early goal back if you possibly can, and that's fair enough. People can take that stance. I'm not going to say that's wrong, but for me, I think that the problem with doing that is that you then leave yourself susceptible to leaving gaps and getting picked off against a team which is obviously better than us. So I think, again, try and be compact, like you say, Franny, keep it tight, stay in the game, and if you get your opportunities to get forward, there'll be few and far between in the early stages, because Bayern Munich will obviously, they're 2-1 up for the away leg. They're now at home. They'll go there with confidence and take the game to Celtic. As much as some people will want us to take the game to Bayern Munich, I think the fact that Bayern Munich are such a good side at home and leading in the sort of for the first leg, I think they'll dictate the way the game sort of goes or pans out, and I think Celtic will have to be tight. They'll have to be compact and just sort of play a sort of counter-attacking football, if you like. It's not the Celtic way, but it probably could be tomorrow night for certainly the first, I don't know, maybe certainly the first half anyway. Aye. Well, listen, I would take 89 minutes of defence and then
100%.
an equaliser. Take it to extra time. That would be all right. But we'll see what happens. We're still in with a wee shout anyway.
Well, that's it. And to be fair, I think after on the first leg, that's what we want to go over Germany with a chance, to still be in the tie, but not to take anything away. It's not going to be easy, Anthony. And with that said, who's your lineup and your score prediction to try and see if we can get through this tie?
As I said earlier, it's hard to read into the United game to find out if it's Maeda through the middle or Idah. Personal preference is Jota, Maeda, and Kuhn as a front three. I think we need to get at them. I think last week we looked our best with Maeda doing his press, trying to close down even Manuel Neuer at times, and it put them on the back foot. And I think we need to start like that. I'm all for, at times, the Ross, get to the 80th minute, 88th minute and get that 1-0 win and kind of a good defensive showing. But at the same time, I think we just need to go and smash and grab and get a goal and start as best as we can and then maybe settle into a defensive game. I think Schlupp will start as well. Yeah, Johnson, can't think of trust Schlupp, McGregor, Engels, Tati, Jota, Maeda. I think that's pretty much going to be it.
What you going for? Are you going to go to the Celtic win, or?
I mean, my heart wants a 2-1 or no, but my head tells me there's a higher chance of getting beat 3-0 than us getting a win. So again, I'm going to go back to just let's not embarrass ourselves.
I think that's fair. I mean, they're no mugs, Ross, but who would yours take? To be honest, I think the team that's kind of been coming up, I think that's the team I would go with. Probably what Stephen says, I think Taylor might play, but I can understand the argument for Schlupp, but I think Big Idah might be unlucky and miss out.
Possibly. My team, I personally would go Schmeichel, Johnston, Carter Vickers, Trusty, Taylor, and then I would have two sitters, Cal McGregor and Schlupp, with Engels in front of them, and a front three, Maeda, Idah, and Kuhn.
It's interesting. I understand the Nohatati one because I mean he's a guy that can unlock the defence, but equally he's a guy that can put you.
I think we need. Well, the thinking behind it for me is we talk about needing that physical presence in the middle of the park. We also talk about we've seen it in the sort of away ties or the away games in this competition that at times Cal McGregor does need somebody next to him, and I think Schlupp has played centre mid. I think he gives you that physicality. I think he would help protect Cal McGregor along with him and Cal McGregor help him to try and protect that back line. I think Engels is quite mobile, so he could sort of be that more mobile midfielder and he can get forward and support. And the reason I'm not going with Hatate is because I feel like Engels looks after the ball a wee bit better. And then obviously I've went with Idah up front because I just feel like, again, we need to be more compact. And I feel like having Dyson Maeda on the left-hand side gives us that more sort of defensive quality. I think Kuhn's quite good at coming back as well. Whereas Jota, I love him, but he's more of that luxury player, and I don't think for the early part of this game, I don't think we can afford to have that in the team. But if we can stay in the game and we've got guys like Jota and Hatate to come off the bench, then I think that's a really good thing to have in our arsenal for later in the game.
It certainly is good options if we can keep in it. So where are you going with the scoreline? Are you going with your Super 6 scoreline or going to pan
No. Well, I done the Super 6 scoreline just with points in mind, but listen, if you don't believe that we can do it, what's the point in even watching it tomorrow night? I don't see us keeping a clean sheet. I would be amazed if we did. So let's just go 2-1 and try and take it to extra time and see where we go from there.
I think we would all take that at the end of the day. Just it'd be a positive result. But like we said, we'll see what tomorrow brings. We'll enjoy it nonetheless, and it's been progression, regardless of result. It's been progression in Europe this season. I dare say the goal was to make the playoff stages, and like we said on Friday night, only Celtic, it feels, could make the playoff stages, and somehow our two potential opponents were Real Madrid and Bayern Munich. It's how's your luck? How's your luck at the end of the day? But that's it for the night. We'll just kind of wrap it up. But have you enjoyed that one?
Always.
Aye, it was good. Just getting that wee sort of build up for the game. I'm starting to get the butterflies, and starting to the closer it gets, you start to believe a bit more. At the end of last week, I was like, nothing's going to happen. But then, like it's the day before the game, and then tomorrow I'll be buzzing all day at work, and probably the more night I'll hear us winning 3-0. But that's just me.
It's the beauty of being a football fan, Ross. It's your gift, and like you said, if you don't believe, then what is the point? But no, thanks a lot for everybody that's stuck with us and who's been getting involved. We'll be back on Friday night. Hopefully talking about a memorable night in Europe. But I'm not so sure. Fingers crossed. But no, to everybody's watching, stay well, keep safe, and hail, hail.